right, welcome in, guys. With about a month out until the season starts, we wanted to give you Mark and I's projections for how we think our season is going to go. And for other listeners, we wanted to give you an insight as to how we create our schedule. So starting week 1, we have a rivalry week. We have E-Heater playing Nat Skins Fan, and we both think Nat Skins Fan wins. We both have Burkholder beating Connor. We both have John Staggers beating Woo Footy Hulk. We both have Albizi beating GM Newell. We both have Seymour beating Ben Chapman. And since we are in such agreement, we both have We All Know Mark beating P. Noer.
And the agreement continues in week 2. This is the start of divisional week, the first of 3 in a row here. So we both have Eric beating Jared, Albert beating Connor, myself, Nat Skins Fan 11, beating John, Woo Footy Hulk beating Phil Noer, We All Know Mark beating Ben Chapman, and Seymour beating GM Newell.
And it continues, so you can start to doubt whether we actually did this or we just copied and pasted. Divisional week 3, we both have E-Heater beating Connor. We both have Albizi beating Burkholder. We both have Nat Skins Fan beating Woo Footy Hulk. We both have John Staggers beating P. Noer. We both have GM Newell beating Ben Chapman. And here we go. A little upset. We have Mark has We All Know Mark beating Seymour, whereas I went with Seymour.
I must not have copy and pasted correctly there.
Yeah, right.
So last of the division weeks, we both have Eric beating Albert, both have Connor beating Jared, both have Nat Skins Fan 11 beating Phil Noer, both have Woo Footy Hulk beating John, and then more disparity. BC, Eric has him beating Seymour. I have Seymour beating BC. We all know Mark. I have him beating GM Newell. Eric is GM Newell winning that game.
All right, week 5 is the start of our conference weeks. And just to give you a little insight, with our conference games, we have it scheduled so that depending on what you did last year is who you're going to play this year. So the first and second ranked teams in each division are going to play the top teams in the other divisions. And same with the bottom 2 teams are going to play the bottom 2. It doesn't work out perfectly sometimes for the middle child, just like in real life. But for the most part, at least the top seed and the bottom seed are clean distinctions. So with conference week 5, we both have E-Heater beating P. Noer. We both have Connor beating Woo Footy Hulk. Mark has himself beating Seymour, whereas I am pulling for Seymour in this matchup. We both have Ben Chapman beating John Staggers. We both have GM Newell beating Albizi in their second rivalry matchup. And Mark is pulling for We All Know Mark. And I am pulling for my brother-in-law, Jared.
We all know Mark has a great name. That's why I took him.
So stupid.
Continue with conference week 6. Continue with conference. Eric and myself beating Ben Chapman. I have Ben Chapman pulling upset, beating Eric. We all know Mark. Both of us beating Woo Footy Hulk. Both of us say myself will beat Connor. Both GM Newell beating Phil. I have Seymour beating Albizi. Eric has Albizi beating Seymour. We both have John Staggers beating Jared.
And since nothing in this world is perfect, week 7 actually has one divisional matchup thrown in there. This is to compensate for the fact that not all our rivalry matchups are within their same divisions. So that creates a total of 3 games that mess up. We'll talk about the rest later. But this week we have E-Heater playing Seymour. I have myself winning. Mark is pulling for Seymour. I have We All Know Mark beating Connor. Mark is pulling for Connor. We both have Mark beating P. Noer. We both have Burkholder beating GM Newell. I have Ben Chapman beating Woo Footy Hulk. Mark is pulling for his buddy Woo Footy Hulk. And lastly, we both have John Staggers pulling an upset over Albizi.
Week 8, continuing back to the clean conference. Eric, I have him beating Woo Footy Hulk. Eric has Woo Footy Hulk with the upset. We both have We All Know Mark beating John. Both have myself beating GM Newell. We both have Jared beating Seymour. Both have Connor beating BC. We both have Albizi beating Phil.
Conference week 9. We both have myself beating Mark. We both have John Staggers beating Seymour. We All Know Mark versus P. Knower. Mark went with We All Know Mark, and I went with P. Knower. We both went with our brother-in-law Jared to beat Woo Footy Hulk. I went with GM Newell to beat Connor. Mark pulled for Connor. And we both went for Albizi over Ben Chapman.
The second of the not clean conferences, we have 2 division games. The first one, we have Albert beating Eric, both of us. Both of us have John beating Connor. Both of us have Jared beating Phil Knower. Both of us have Seymour beating Footy Hulk. Second divisional game, I have GM Newell beating We All Know Mark. Eric has We All Know Mark. I have Ben Chapman upsetting myself. Eric has me beating BC that game.
All right. Now we are back to the final stretch. So this is the divisional week, week 11. I have Burkholder beating myself, whereas Mark is pulling for me. We both have Albizi beating Connor. We both have Woo Footy Hulk beating P. Knower. We both have John Staggers beating Mark. We both have Seymour beating GM Newell. And we both have Ben Chapman beating We All Know Mark.
Week 12, division week again. Eric beating Connor for both of us. Albert beating Jared for both of us. Eric has P. Knower beating John. I have John that game. We both have myself beating Woo Footy Hulk. I have Seymour beating We All Know Mark. Eric is pulling for We All Know Mark. And we both have BC Benjamin Chapman beating GM Newell.
All right, now we get to the wild card week, week 13. And since this game is determined based on the rankings throughout the season, we're going to have to give our games for you differently because the matchups are going to look a little different. But for me, I have myself playing Woo Footy Hulk, and I have myself as the winner. I have Burkholder beating Seymour. I have P. Knower pulling off a crazy upset versus Albizi. I have Mark beating Connor. I have We All Know Mark beating Ben Chapman. And lastly, I have GM Newell beating John Staggers.
For my wild card matchups, I have Eric beating Jared, Seymour beating Connor, Albizi beating Woo Footy Hulk, myself beating P. Knower, Benjamin Chapman upsetting John, and We All Know Mark beating GM Newell.
And that brings us to our final standings. So my projections for what this will look like this year, I have Mark on top at 10-3. I then have myself at 9-4. We understand that looks bad, and we will defend ourselves coming up soon. We have Albizi. I have Albizi at 9-4. I then have We All Know Mark at 8-5. I have Burkholder at 8-5, followed by John Staggers at 7-6. I have GM Newell 6-7, Seymour 6-7, Ben Chapman 5-8, and Woo Footy Hulk 4-9, P. Knower at 3-10, and last but actually least, Connor at 3-10.
For my final standings, I have myself at 10-3 as well as the benefactor of an easier schedule this year. We'll talk about that further. Albizi 9-4. We All Know Mark 9-4. Seymour 9-4. Eric 9-4 as well.
Little low.
Talk about that. John Staggers 8-5. BC 6-7. Jared 5-8. Connor 5-8. GM Newell falling down to 4-9. Woo Footy Hulk 4-9. And Phil Knower 0-13. We'll talk about that later as well.
All right, so those are our projections. Now it's your turn. If you think you can do better, send us a
Do
video
it.
because we would love to have the opportunity to mock you at the end of the year. All right. Stay tuned. We're going to be releasing our divisional breakdowns very soon. And see you all soon.